uh, Ryan Buckley, the one and only. Okay, Ryan, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Anton, for the opportunity to speak to all of you. I know it is late in your side of the world, so I will keep this pretty short. About 30 minutes. I want to talk about inbound marketing, outbound marketing, the difference between good email marketing and spam, and how to combine inbound and outbound marketing to really leverage each other and build a great, inexpensive, scalable marketing solution for your small business. Um, so I'll get right to it, and I plan for the slides to take about 15 minutes and Q&A to last another 10 to 15 minutes. Um, so again, these are the topics that will get covered. I do want to give some specific examples of good inbound marketing, and then again describe in some detail how to tie inbound and outbound together, and then what are some real steps that you can take to get started on this right away. And I'll incorporate the experience that I've had building both Twofer, which is an email discovery system, allows you to get emails from people using just their first name, their last name, and the company name, and then Scripted, which is a tool, space. It's a marketplace really for businesses to get high quality original content. And I've had the great pleasure of starting both of those companies. So first, what is inbound marketing? I think of it as the traffic that you already receive. It is people searching for you. It's people seeing tweets or LinkedIn messages or syndicated content that you've written, and they're clicking on something and they're landing on your website. Essentially, that's what inbound marketing is. If you're not paying for that traffic, if you're not posting ads in order to get those clicks, and if you're not paying every time somebody clicks on those links, then it is really the best kind of marketing. It is scalable, it is inexpensive once the assets are there, once you have the content up there. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And it's really the best way to grow a business because you put it up once and it keeps generating traffic. But you need to be smart about how you're doing it. You need to publish content regularly, at least every week, eventually every day. But once a week is about as good is good enough for small businesses. You should also be smart about putting content behind a call to action like a newsletter sign up. We call it gated content. So you have to give an email address in order to download my white paper or my ebook. And then you should also just do the basic SEO stuff, like have good tags on your website, have good URLs that are easily read. Search engines prefer it. Um, so I'm going to walk through some examples of what these look like. We can talk through them a bit. So here's from Mixpanel. It's slightly hidden, but there's a newsletter sign up in the top right. You should never have a blog without newsletter signups, some type of email capture. And I'll describe in more detail why this is important. But of course, opt-in emails are the best kind of emails. These are the people who will stay engaged with you, who are more likely to become customers, because they opted in. They gave you their email addresses. So of course, those are the best ones to use, and you should always have an email capture on your blog posts. Here's an example from Marketo of gated content. I'm sure you've seen this before. It's not hard to produce this on a WordPress site, on a Joomla or a Drupal site. There are plugins that allow you to very easily, without any additional coding, create one of these gated forms. So you capture that information. Again, it goes into your newsletter for your email marketing, and then you give them a book, a white paper or an ebook that they can download. Another example is from a company called SumoMe, and this is a pop-up that it's just a little bit of code that you can put on your blog, and it's a pop-up that again does email capture. So you're producing content, you're driving traffic to your website, and then you're capturing an email address, and that's really important. For those of you who are not familiar with saleshacker.com, it is a terrific resource. It is run by my friend Max Alschuler. Um, Great content on here about sales hacking, which is how to use technology to run a more efficient sales team or sales process. Great content on Sales Hacker, and they utilize these best practices for inbound marketing. And then finally, this one should be obvious. WordPress has settings to make this simple, but have good URLs. And you can see that on this Kissmetrics blog, which is a terrific blog as well, you have readable URLs. It's just important for search engines, and because it takes no extra effort, you should always make sure you have good readable URLs. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to outbound marketing, and then after this, I'll describe in a bit more detail how I use this for twofer and for scripted. So what do I mean by outbound marketing? This is essentially it's cold outreach, where inbound leads are warm or hot if they are ready to buy right away. For outbound marketing, often you're reaching someone who has never heard of your company. So these are cold emails and cold calls. In sales communities, this is called inside sales or sales development. Um, there are two different approaches to this. One may be considered spam, one may be considered education. And you can also think of this as shotgun or sniper. I prefer the sniper approach. The difference being with a shotgun, you're kind of spraying email in a very generic way to a lot of different companies and a lot of different titles within those companies. Generally, people don't like that approach, and it can backfire. It can make your brand look bad because it does come off as spam. If instead you do a sniper approach, which would be a much more targeted list where you're only going after, so if I was doing this for scripted, then I would, because we're a content marketing company, I would be going after only people with content in their title or editor in their title. I may expand to anyone with marketing in their title, but I would also make sure that my emails are very catered to their company. And what I like to do is, even if I use some automation to send the emails, to do the mail merge, I'll still write a custom sentence for every single company. So each company gets its own intro. And sometimes I'll write it, sometimes I'll have an assistant write it, but that makes a huge difference when the person reading it um, sees that, hey, that sentence was written just for me. That's not a spam email because clearly that was a sentence that was only meant for my company. You get much higher response rates that way, and you don't risk damaging your brand. So that's the difference between a shotgun approach and a sniper approach. Um, but I'd say more importantly, it's a great supplement to your inbound marketing. And this is what I want to describe. It's how do you combine the two together in order to build a much stronger system. First, I'll make a point on what's a drip campaign. This comes off of the HubSpot sales blog. This is a blog post that I wrote for them that was published on HubSpot. A drip campaign is a sequence of emails, usually 3, can be up to 7 emails, where you have your introduction email, still with a call to action at the end. You have a second bubble up email that usually gets the most replies. And then you have a third, what I call the Hail Mary email, where you can be a little bit more bold and make a more daring ask at the end of that email. But outbound marketing typically involves some type of a drip campaign. So how do we use these two together? And I'll spend a little bit of time describing this slide a bit. Very simple diagram, but I think it's pretty powerful. So you've gone out of your way to build a blog, and you're doing everything right. You're capturing email addresses, you have good SEO, you're producing higher value content, longer content like white papers and ebooks. You're putting them behind a gated form. So you're forcing people to give you their email address in order to download the white paper or the ebook. Now what? So if you're doing inbound and outbound marketing together, then you can take that drip campaign and you put links to blog posts and to white papers that you've written that are relevant to those people in your drip campaign. And this is how the two play off of each other really, really well. So if I'll take the scripted example again. I'm head of sales at scripted.com. We write blog posts for people, and I'm targeting a software company that maybe is in the sales space. They're a sales technology, sales software company. I have content on Scripted about how inbound marketing is great for sales teams. Maybe I have a white paper for that. I would include a link to that white paper in my cold email drip. So part of my drip campaign would involve content that I've website. Um, that way, if they send it out or if they share it, they forward it onto a colleague, you may capture their colleague's email address, but more importantly, you're driving traffic to your site and you're really building authority and you're proving to the cold prospect that you're real, like you are authentic and you're legit. Um, that way, it does not come off as spam because you're selling a real product, solving a real need that they may have. Um, and I found in my experience doing this that people are generally very appreciative when they receive an email that actually improves their that actually improves their ability to do their job. People respond really well to it. Okay, next slide. So, how do you get started with this? Well, you can, of course, start with an experiment. We have inbound marketing and outbound marketing on this table, and on the columns, I have early stage, mid stage, and late stage. So For inbound marketing, like I said, you might want to start with 1 to 2 posts per month. That's a post every other week. That's when you're first getting started. If you can get to a post per week, that's where you want to stay. That's where you want to get there as fast as you can. And then the ultimate goal, of course, is to do 1 blog post per day. For outbound email marketing, I found that about 25 emails per day is a great place to start. That's not very expensive to produce that kind of a list. Double that once you've done some experimentation, and I'll describe what I mean by that. Um, and then double it again once you really feel like you've figured it out. Um, so what do these experiments look like? Well, of course, you want to change the subject lines on your emails, test what works best. Similarly, the titles of your blog posts, same idea as a subject line to an email address. You want to experiment and figure out what titles generate the most clicks. And then, of course, understanding what the best call to action is. Is it to download something? Is it to register for something? Is it to sign up for something? What what call to action resonates best with your audience? Um, the way that these two play together is if you find that a particular type of blog post title works really, really well, use that on your email subjects. The two play together very well. Similarly, if you have an email subject that works well, start to use that on your blog posts or start to include that in your call to action. Um, they're two different ways to do similar experiments. And it's all about messaging. So you can use subject lines in your blog posts or subject lines in your emails. You can use titles in your blog posts to really test what's working. And then as you figure out what works, you scale it as described in this table here about mid stage to late stage. By the time you hit late stage, you should have a really good idea of what's working. Okay, so just a couple more slides here, and then I'm happy to take any questions you might have. So measuring results, very important. If you're running experiments, how are you going to judge whether those experiments are working? I use inexpensive tools. You don't need anything very fancy to measure your results. Google Analytics is free, and if you get good at using Google Analytics, it's very powerful. It's a very complex tool. It will take you some time to really learn it, but once you've learned it, it'll save you a lot of money because you don't need to purchase more expensive products. And then to send your outbound emails, I like Yesware, I like ToutApp, and then there's a HubSpot tool called Sidekick. Now, all of these do mail merge really, really well, and make it easy to scale out your outbound marketing. So some of the metrics that you'll want to consider and watch, these are very easy metrics to track. For inbound marketing, it's basically someone who signs up, call that a lead, and then someone who pays you money, call that an opportunity. The lead to opportunity rate or ratio is something
Looks like we lost Ryan. hopefully he will be back very soon. Well, I'm sorry for that. Technical glitches could happen. I hope he will be back very soon. Yeah, well, just very little things I can do from my side. Just only wait for him, and he is not coming for some reason, unfortunately. Okay, let's wait a little bit. Ryan, hello. Okay, looks like Ryan is coming back, so hopefully we can see him and hear him very soon. Ryan, can you hear me? Okay, whilst he is coming back, I can see his name on the screen, but not himself, unfortunately. I'll tell you about next week. We will have pretty interesting webinars next week. You obviously can follow us through our web page. You know where to find it, but I will. Okay, Ryan is coming back. Yeah, Ryan, can you hear me? Well, it's kind of, yeah, Ryan is coming back.
All right, my video is going to come
Uh,
on now.
okay, Ryan, yeah, we lost you for some time. So, but
Yeah, sorry about that.
we stay. Yes, okay. Technical glitch. What can we? Yes, it was this slide. So I'm gonna disappear and I'll let.
Okay. All right. So picking up where I left off. Sorry about that, guys. Our internet connection here in San Francisco is sometimes unreliable. Um, okay, I was talking about the metrics that you should use for your inbound marketing, and I think I left off at cost per lead. So understanding what it's costing if you're outsourcing your content, the cost to purchase that blog post or write it yourself. You can usually generate a dollar figure for that cost. Um, for outbound marketing, the tools that I described, Yesware, ToutApp, Sidekick, they all come with great analytics to tell you what your open rate is. That's when an email gets opened, your reply rate, and then if you track that a given customer came through that email channel, and you can get the number of those wins over time, those customers over time. You can add up how much your subscription to Yesware or ToutApp costs and what the cost of your lead generation is from email lists. You can get a cost per win there. Over time, that cost should go down because you're getting better at targeting, you're generating better lists, you're generating better messages. So you should be able to get more results and drive both your cost per lead in inbound marketing and your cost per win in outbound marketing down over time. Um, so when you've been tracking those metrics for long enough, you can see a chart that looks like this. This is actually something that we've been measuring at Scripted, and we have these registration forms that we use to capture interest, to capture customers. We made a change back in November of 2014, about 8 to 10 months ago, and it really shot our conversion rate through the roof. Um, Makes a big difference and you can really see that difference um, when you're measuring this over time. Okay, so last slide here, and then I have a few minutes for questions. Um, in general, my approach and what I've seen others
It again. Unfortunately, I can't believe it. He's talking from Silicon Valley and complaining about his an internet connection. I can't believe it. Okay, Ryan. Yeah, Ryan coming back. Hopefully, with his bad internet connection from San Francisco. Yeah, I wish I were in San Francisco with bad internet connection, but with very good internet connection here in back in Kiev. Okay, Ryan. Yeah. I can't
okay
believe
back.
you in San Francisco and you have bad internet connection. How is it possible?
Yeah, it's funny.
It
Am I
was the
back? Can you hear me?
yeah, sure. Go on.
Okay, you can hear me now? Okay. All right, we'll get through this. Um, so scripted, good for helping marketers scale up their inbound marketing. Twofer I built to help salespeople scale up their outbound marketing, and we're at 30 minutes now, so I'll end here and happy to answer questions about any of the slides and anything you might want to know about the early days of either of these companies and in my experience starting them here in San Francisco. So Anton, I'll kick it back over to you for this part of it. Just let me know how we handle the Q&A.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Okay. Any question? Just type it in there. I'll read it for Ryan, or he will read it out loud, and he will answer them. Don't be shy. Just ask questions. Okay. Whilst we wait for questions. Uh, yeah, well, somebody say, okay, saludo de Rio de Janeiro. Okay, somebody is from Rio de Janeiro. So we have plenty different people from, or most of them from Ukraine, some from Russia, Serbia, and Brazil. Okay, more questions. Not just say hello from Rio de Janeiro. More questions. Okay, I'll ask you a question. It's not exactly about email marketing. Ask your approach. When we talk, you wrote to me that some businesses you succeed, some businesses you failed, and I
Yep.
understand there is a big difference between how people look at it here in Europe on a failure point of on a failure, and in United States. Here in Europe, a failure of business is bad, and if you go bankrupt, it's kind of black mark. So basically,
Yeah.
you business for I don't know for or in Britain, for example, within 6 years, don't even think about going to the bank or something like that. I understand in the United States it's a little bit different, is it?
Yeah, particularly in the Silicon Valley, it's okay to fail. Um, you can't get away with bankruptcy very well, although it is not uncommon for a business to fail, and along with that failure goes millions of dollars of venture capital money. Um, often, I mean, for most of these investors, they expect that most of the time their investments are going to lose money, and what they're hoping for, of course, is an Uber or a Facebook to come out of their investment pool, which more than makes up for all of the money that they lost. And I think that's probably the biggest difference between the Silicon Valley startup community and the Boston one or the New York one. This area is just much more tolerant for failure, and a lot of entrepreneurs see it as a um, kind of a battle wound or a badge of honor to have gone through a failure process and then come back out and done it again. Um, there's a good way and a bad way to fail. Some entrepreneurs will give the money back before they completely fail, and then others will, usually with investor support, just keep going all the way, and even if maybe they know that they're not going to make the money back. But the investors just want to see them keep trying because it's an interesting idea or a hot market or something like that. Um, in my particular case, the failures that I've had, they never got to the outside investment stage. I never had to borrow money for against a company that didn't work out. And that's one of the benefits of bootstrapping is you just
Not again. Ryan, stay with us, please. Yeah, okay, guys. More questions? Anybody? I understand. Well, it's not particular. Not, yeah, okay. Ryan is gone anyway. So still, if anybody has a question, just type it in. Okay. I guess as this yeah, I guess this well we got newcomers, but it's a bit too late. So I guess some people didn't figure out timing. Some people from Bangladesh, yeah, as the timing is wrong as a webinar is about to finish, unfortunately. But we will have more webinars next week, and next week is it's really interesting stuff. You can see on our webpage. I'll just paste it for you down here. I still wanna see Ryan. Maybe he will be back, and we at least can say thank you to him. Yeah, he is back. Okay.
yeah,
Ryan, yeah,
thank you.
I know. Yeah, the next question would be, what's wrong with internet in San Francisco? I guess everybody want to know that. Okay, it's not a question. It's just a joke. Just a joke.
Yeah,
Okay, Ryan. Okay, we do have a question. Okay, when we start with email marketing, whether this was true in email list that we find on a white or yellow web pages. Yeah, you can see the question.
yeah. Um, um, are you asking if the email addresses are good from white or yellow pages? Like, is that what you're asking? Should you use email addresses or lists generated from white or yellow pages? Trying to make sure I understand that question. Okay. Okay. Generally, I've found that those email addresses have very high bounce rates. If you just go to white pages or yellow pages, um, they're high bounce rate, and they're also usually what's called a catch-all email address, which would be info at or contact at or support at. It's much better to target individuals and use a service like Twofer or something else to find the email address for that individual. One other tip I can offer is if you're able to find those email addresses from a list like that, you can use a service called Kickbox to verify those email addresses.
Your address. Just verify if it's if it's a just genuine address. It's what it is, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't, yeah. So you have to come to them with email addresses. They don't give you emails. They just make sure that they're good.
What about Twofer? I understand you take, for example, Larry Page, and he works for, well, what is now Alphabet, uh, I guess, and your Twofer will give you kind of solution. What could be his email address?
That's right. Yeah, it'll take a first name, a last name, and a company name and identify the best email address for that person.
Will Twofer check if it's an authentic address or just combination?
No, it uses both pattern matching and then other services to make sure that it's a good email address and not just matching a pattern for that domain.
And well, it's obvious it's your company. You probably won't say it's bad, but what's your experience? How good is it? Tell us the truth.
Oh yeah, 15% bounce rate on average. But we give a confidence score, so if you just use the higher confidence scores, the bounce rate can get under 5%. When you go out and purchase a list, you're looking at 25 to 30% bounce rates on average. So from that standpoint, Twofer is twice as good.
Okay, so you always recommend. So I understand there is no more questions. If there is questions, okay. So last time it's like an auction. One, two, three. Yeah, no more questions. Okay, thank you very much, Ryan. And I guess everybody will thank you for that. We have some technical problems.
Mhm.
Hopefully, yeah. Oh, okay, you're still alive. I'm looking at the screen, just trying to understand if you are with us. Okay, thank you very much, Ryan.
Okay.
That was very interesting. And well, maybe well, when they will put fiber optics in your area, we'll come back to you again, and you'll tell us something new. I'm pretty sure this business is growing or every day, everything
Yeah.
new. Yeah. So hopefully in a couple of months we can ask you to do something similar, but in a slightly different topic. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have and very useful for yeah thank you stuff coming and we have funny enough we have more people coming. We should have started later. I thought Friday night is late, but we have more people coming from different from Belarus and from Bangladesh. Yeah, okay. Ryan is gone anyway. Thank you very much for coming. We'll have more webinars next week. Just check our web page. There are some very interesting stuff and some very big names are coming. Believe me, big international names. Okay, thank you very much for everybody who came tonight or today, depends on the time where you are. And on this note, without Ryan in presence, we have to say goodbye to all of you. Just okay. Ryan is not here, so goodbye, guys. We can see internet connection in the United States is not particularly great. Okay, thank you very much and goodbye.